Hello everyone! Today I'll be showing you how I make my characters. Apparently the author of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Araki Hirohiko, uses this template. Draw Like a Sir mentioned the template in his video on how to make manga, so I think this is pretty likely to be true. I will have the template in the description of the video if anybody wants to use it. By the way, I changed it to fit my story. Now let's get started. First off, we have name, gender, and age. This is where you'd put their name, nickname, age, and gender. I'll be creating a character with this template as well so you could see how to make them. First, let's start with the gender. I think their gender will be male. For convenience sake, I will name him John Doe. His age will be 24. Now we go to his birthday and birth sign. Let's say his birthday is November 24th, which would make his birth sign Sagittarius. Moving on, it's height and weight. When it comes to comics, height is pretty important, since people can always see your characters. I'll say John's height is 175 centimeters and his weight is 67 kilograms. Now the hair and eye color. If you really want to be consistent, you can write the code for the color, but I'm not really looking to be consistent. I'll just choose brown for the eyes and some sort of light blue for the hair. Now for this one, you just put in how good their eyesight is, do they have any color blindness or wear glasses, what their dominant hand is, and what type of voice they have. I don't really know how to describe the voices, so I'll skip that one. I'll say that he has perfect eyesight, no color blindness, doesn't wear glasses, and he is ambidextrous. Now for this, just add any injuries or surgeries you think are important, so stuff like a paper cut shouldn't be on here. For convenience sake, I will say that he doesn't have any that are super important. Proceeding, we have this one. Just write down any scars, burn marks, birthmarks, or tattoos. I'll say John doesn't have any scars, burns, birthmarks, or tattoos. For this one, you can write the character's hairstyle, how their eyes look, or any other physical attributes, but honestly, I don't know what Araki meant by legs. For John, I'll say he has a bowl cut, his eyes will look bored and sharp, and a soft nose. Now for the race and religion. If your book has fantasy races, you should put that, so like if they're an elf, write elf. Same with the religion. For example, mine would be human, Caucasian, Clamatian. Moving on, for this one, all you have to do is write their criminal record, awards, and education. For example, let's say John has been in prison for a year due to stealing and property damage, no awards, and a basic education. Proceeding onward, we have what was their forming experience as a child. I'll say John's forming experience as a child was being in poverty and needing a way to survive. Now moving on to sexual history and their thoughts on love and marriage. I'll just say he hasn't ever had a partner, doesn't really think much about love or marriage. Now people the person admires or hates. Personally for this, I usually write down people who won't show up in my comics, just to make it seem like the world is big and not just a small town or city. I'll say he admires the thunderous devil Adam Blake, while he hates the seductive demoness Elizabeth Pendragon, which are characters from my previous comic. Now dreams for the future. It's good to know what your character wants in the future, even if it'll never be set in the story. It'll help with writing the character. For John, I'll say his dream for the future is to lead a powerful gang and have enough money to never need to work a day in his life again. Now for a character's fears. These fears don't have to be anything deep. Take for example from the Amazing Digital Circus, Jax just has trypophobia and not anything deep like what the fans were theorizing. For convenience sake, let's just say John doesn't have any notable fears. Now you write their personality traits. For example, are they kind, greedy, or prideful? I personally look up personality traits, so I wouldn't be using the same 9 personality traits. So the favorite sayings, you can either create your own or look one online. I usually look one online. For the habits, just write down what habits they have. I'll say that John is prideful, selfish, looks down on others while caring for the people close to him. He's hard to get along with, but if you become friends with him, he'll stop at nothing to help you. His favorite saying will be from Team 4-Star's Sailorman Abridged series, from busted to dusted bitch, and no notable habits. Sitting onward, we have character relationships and how they behave. For convenience sake, I'll only do one person. He's friends with Jane Doe and would do anything for her, be it breaking her out of prison, fighting 100 men, or even giving her child from the nursery. Now how they behave with their family. Honestly, you could fuse this, the last, and next category into one, but it is more convenient when they are separated. Won't need to search for as long for a person. And for convenience sake, I will say he was an orphan and never knew his parents. This one is kinda confusing, but from what I'm understanding, it just means who they hate. But personally, I'd only put people the character has met, so I wouldn't put Elizabeth Pendragon here. as they never met. I'll say he hates Michael Silver, the leader of the powerful gang Beast Fang. He will stop at nothing to try and humiliate Michael and strip him of his leader position, although he does respect his ability to gather and command so many people. Moving on, we have where they are employed or studying. You can also write where they used to work or study if you think that is important. I'll say John has never been employed or went to school above basic education. Moving on, we have the character's economic status and behavior. If I'm being honest, I'm not quite sure what behavior here means, but I guess it'd be how they treat people in different economic statuses. This next one is just if your character has any pets or plants, but because John is doubtful that he could even take care of an animal, he never had a pet, and John doesn't really care about plants. For this one, just write if they're more cheerful or gloomy. John, for example, is more gloomy. This one is the same as the last one, but are they more humorous or violent? And while John is quick to violence, he's also very humorous. For this, you can change it to law-abiding or keep it as virtuous. Either way, John is neither. This is just how expressive your character is. For example, one of my characters basically shows no emotions, so I'd write shows barely any emotions on the character sheet. John, however, is pretty expressive. His opinions are expressed quite loudly. Now for this one, you can write a physical or psychological weakness or something else entirely. You can also write what they are worried about and some unusual traits. For example, John has a weakness for children. He avoids hurting children in any way, even if they are huge pieces of shits. He is also worried that the people he cares about will get hurt because of his actions. And for his unusual trait, let's say he likes to spin around to close doors. Of course, you don't have to add any unusual traits. Now, what's distinctive about your character? If you're confused, that's okay. I'm pretty confused on what it means myself, but from what I understand, it's just what is unique about them, be it in their physicality or mentality or personality. Let's take John, for example. Let's say that he has shark-like teeth. Of course, being a webtoon character, that's not really too crazy. Let's also say that he can mentally envision anything, and for his personality, let's say when he gets comfortable around people and when he tries to insult them to push them away, he just can't. Here you'd put everything your character can do. Are they accurate with bows or guns? If yes, write that here. And if they use some sort of martial arts, put that here as well. John, for example, is a pretty nimble fighter who uses beast-like movements in fights. This martial arts he's created is called Fist of the Thousand Beasts, although this martial arts can be easily countered by long-ranged attacks. Right here you'd put your character's strengths and weaknesses, which could be anything from educational to physical. It depends on the story you're writing. And since mine is an action fantasy, I'll be using fighting strengths and weaknesses. John is pretty nimble and has quite strong attacks. His magic power is considered amazing for a non-adventurer. He has a tough time dealing with long-ranged attacks. His magic control and mana capacity are on the low end, and he can't really control his emotions well during fights, which leads to him getting damaged needlessly. Now onto hobbies, so like stuff the character likes to do in their free time. So for John, his hobbies would be hanging out with friends, walking around parks, sleeping, and let's also say he likes writing. Here you'd put anything the character likes to read or watch. Personally, I put up made-up books and comics/manga here, just to add some more depth to the world. Of course, if it's not a fantasy setting and in the modern world, you can add real books and movies. But John doesn't have any money for books or newspapers, so I'll just leave that blank. Here you'd put anything that the character has tried making. For example, if they wrote a book, say that they wrote a book. For example, John writes poems about anything he feels strongly about. Here you'd put what things your character collects, their least favorite things and favorite things. For example, John doesn't collect anything. His favorite food is steak. His favorite animal is wolves, his least favorite food is sugar, his least favorite animal would be pandas. Honestly, I don't really know what it means by food here, so I'll just skip it. For their shelter, it means where they live. And fashion is just how they dress. For example, John lives in the slums of Oak City. He dresses like a stereotypical thug. Personally, I love making up brands and stores. I feel like it makes the world livelier. But for convenience sake, I'll say John doesn't have any favorites. Now habits again. Yeah, for some reason habits are on here twice. I'm guessing in the original Japanese text it was two different things, and whoever translated it translated it into habits. So you can skip this one and erase it, or erase the other one and place the habits here. Here you say what their favorite things are and if they wear any accessories. So like, let's say your character treasures a necklace given by their mother, you would put that here. But Johnny Boy doesn't have anything so precious. Yeah, this got duplicated as well. Personally, I'd use this one instead of that other one since it'd be easier to find. But for now, I'll skip it. Not too sure on this one as well, but from what I'm guessing, it's just what kind of stuff they like eating, and have they ever used drugs or are currently using them. For example, John loves whatever the taste of meat is and hates sweet food. He doesn't do drugs either, he's too poor. Now here you can put anything else you want, what kind of wine they like for some reason, and what special ability they have. For example, mine would be what magic they have. So John doesn't drink wine, and his magic is the matter magic, razor magic. So that was how I make my webtoon characters. I hope this helped any of you out. And if you have any questions about it, I will try answering them to the best of my ability. Please like, subscribe, and be sure to remember Eden's Will it's going to release this month. We'll make a video on it. And have a great rest of your days.